This image is fake. And again, one of the only ways we can tell it's fake is this little bit of artifacts right here. The heat mapping will tell us exactly what part of the image appears real and what part appears fake. And right here in the driveway, we can see that that is something that our detectors picked up as fake.
But how would you know if it's mostly real than just something's been inserted in the picture? To your prior comment, like the Russian tank was added.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. So just as we can create these images synthetically, this same network can be used to add in elements that don't exist already. And so the detector trained on these images is able to pick up images that are part real and part manipulated.
So for instance, this one is mostly real except for,
Mm-hmm.
right?
It is, the full image is actually fake, but it appears mostly real.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
The detector, if you cut out that little section, it would be real by the detector.
Yeah, it'd have a very hard time with this image. There's a little bit other part, I think, right here that it comes up as fake. But yeah, if you clean up those different parts, the detector probably would have a difficult time with this image. This image here, even though this one is blurry, it is real. And so blurry images are often a lot more difficult for our detector to pick up as fake, but it looks for more, I guess you could call them ingrained types of realism. So the hard edges here, the very squareness of it, and the fact that this corner is surrounded by other elements that might be a little bit more fluid. So you have a really hard edge right here, and then flowy roads and grass and everything. That is very difficult for a synthetic media network to create. The combination of really, really straight edge lines surrounded by more nature type elements. And that's why our detector was able to pick up this one as real. So here we have another one that's real. Even though this is blurry, this is in fact a real image, and our detector was able, again, using these hard edges surrounded by nature to pick up that this in fact has not been manipulated or synthetically generated. This one here, this one is actually fake. This appears fully realistic, and there are a couple of spots here and there that pick up as fake. I think the pool right here came across as artificial to our networks. I think it's out of place in this environment, and so the networks considered it to be fake. Additionally, there's some areas around the edge of the pool or the lake that appear to have pinged our detectors. That combined with, again, as we were seeing, I think there's a little bit of nature cover right here. And this, it's hard to tell for a human being, but again, the hard edges surrounded by nature, that nature appears too straight, right? It's not as fluid as it would appear in the real world. And this image is in fact real. Now, this was a hard one for our detectors to pick up because a large part of our data sets and our synthetic data sets actually come from images that look very similar to this. But we could see that the interaction of the shadows and the buildings really gave our detectors the clue that this was in fact a real image. This one is fake. It appears very realistic except for some elements right here. You can see that this part of the road, when these two areas intersect, does not appear real to our detectors, right? In reality, this would often be a little bit more smooth. Either this would be more circular and have maybe a curb right there, but again, it'd be very difficult for a human being to determine that. This one is real, and that one is fake. So many of you were actually quite good at that experiment, but I think it'd be difficult for you to stake your reputation on whether you knew that was real or fake. And in reality, if these types of content are being purposefully leaked or being promoted on social media, it's going to be difficult to use the manual analysis alone to determine whether something is real or fake, right? The amount of scale that we're talking about means that you'd need thousands of people whose only job it is to look at aerial imagery to determine whether it's real or fake. And that is just unfeasible with the massive amounts of content. And because our adversaries know that, it presents a real threat to US national security. We're already seeing fake aerial images being promoted and created in research, specifically from non-US based research organizations. And that means that over the next few years, we're going to start seeing this type of technology truly proliferate online, very purposefully driven to promote misinformation.